Thanks for joining me again. In this session, we will be looking at transposing equations. Before we actually get into the topic, we need to understand what an equation is. Now, we can think of an equation as a balanced scale. Let's say we have an equation 2x equals 10. How is this represented on that scale? It is actually telling us that 2x weighs the same or has the same value as 10. Now this should help us solve what x is. 2x means 2 multiplied by x. So here I can write 2 multiplied by x is 10. And we know that 2 multiplied by 5 is going to give us 10. So x here is 5. Now, how did we get that 5? We simply divided 10 by 2, and that gave us the value for x. Now, if we look back at our scale, I can divide 10 by 2 here. Let me change that color. So I'm dividing this by 2, but remember, it is on a scale, and I want to keep my scale balanced at all times. I don't want to change the value of my equation. So if I divide by 2 on this side, I must also divide by 2 on this side. 2x divided by 2, my 2's are going to cancel, leaving me with x, and x is going to remain on this side of my scale, and 10 divided by 2 gives 5. So x has the same weight as 5. Let's have a look at another equation. Let's say we have the equation 7y plus 3 equals 73. So on our scale, it's going to look like this. 7y plus 3 has the same weight as 73. So I need to solve for y. So I must first get rid of my 3 from here. And in order to do that, I must take away 3 from here. And remember, we must keep our scale balanced at all times. So if I'm taking away 3 from on this side, I need to take away 3 from on this side as well. So I'm going to be left with, this is going to cancel, I'm going to be left with 7y, and on this side, I'm going to be left with 70. So here, I will have 7y equals 70. Now, I need to solve for y. I still have that 7 in front of my y. 7y means 7 multiplied by y. So to get rid of that 7, I need to divide by 7. And if I divide by 7 on this side, I must also divide by 7 on this side. That 7 is going to cancel, and 7 into 70 is going to give us 10. So here we have y being equal to 10. Now, how are you going to decide what needs to be removed first? In this case, I removed my 3 first. Why didn't I remove my 7 first? Now, let's think of a scenario. Let's say I walk into a room. So this is me. I'm walking into a room. And as I get into the room, I'm going to put on the light. And then I'm going to walk and I'm going to sit down on a bench. Now, if I were to exit the room, what I will need to do is get up from that bench, walk towards the door, take off that light switch, and come out the door. Now, notice in order to exit the room, I needed to reverse all the operations I did. So the last thing I did was sit down on that bench. So in order to get out of the room, I need to get up from the bench, walk towards the door, take off the light switch and exit from the room. Similarly, with the equation, I have 7 multiplied by y, and then I added 3 to that to get 73. So to get back y, you will have to reverse all your operations, starting with the last thing that you did. So the last thing that you did was added 3. So you are going to reverse that and you are going to subtract 3. That is why we subtracted 3 first. So we subtracted 3, and because y was being multiplied by 7, in order to reverse that, I would have to divide by 7. So the last thing that you do is always the first thing that needs to be reversed. Let's try another equation. So let's say we have 6x take away 4 equals 32. Now, I always start reading from where my variable is. And in this case, my variable appeared in that first term there already. So that is how I start reading it. 6x take away 4 equals 32. Remember, the last thing that you did is the first thing that you are going to reverse. So in this case, it was subtract 4. So I'm going to add 4 on this side to get rid of it and add 4 on this side. By adding 4 here, it gets rid of that, leaving 6x, and 32 add 4 is going to give me 36. Now I need to get rid of that 6. 6 is being multiplied by x. So to get rid of it, I'm going to divide by 6. So I'm dividing by 6 here and dividing by 6 here, leaving me with x equals to 6. Now let's say we were not working with any numbers. I have ax equals y, and I want to make x the subject of my equation. Now when we were solving equation, that is what we were actually doing, making that variable or that unknown the subject of the equation in order to solve for that variable. So here, x became the subject of my equation. Now let's make x the subject of this equation. This means a multiplied by x equals y. So to make x the subject, I'm going to divide by a, because I need to get rid of that a. So across here, I also have to divide by a. So it becomes x is equal to y divided by a. Now remember, you started off with ax equals y and you ended up with this here. Doesn't it look as if your a went across here and became x equals y divided by a? It does. Now a is being multiplied here, but across on the other side of the equation, or the equal sign, it's going to be divide. So if on this side a was being multiplied, across on the other side it's going to be divide. Let's have a look at another one. Let's say we have cx plus b equals y, and I want to make x the subject of my equation, meaning I want x alone on one side. Now remember, the last thing that you did is the first thing that you need to reverse. So if I start reading from that variable x there, it's going to be cx plus b. So the last thing that you did is added b. So it's going to be the first thing that needs to be removed. In order to remove that, it's going to appear as if we moved positive b across to the other side, and it became cx equals y, take away b. I want now to remove that c. c is being multiplied by x. So in order to get rid of that c, it goes across to the other side, and because it's being multiplied across on this side, it's going to go across to be divided. So you're going to get x is equal to y, take away b, divided by c. Now let's have a look at another one. Let's say I have ax plus by equals c, and I want to make b the subject of my equation. Now remember, I told you all, you have to start reading from that variable that you want to make the subject of the equation. And in this case, b needs to be the subject of my equation. So I'm going to start reading my equation from here. by plus ax equals c. The last thing that I said was plus ax. So I'm going to get rid of that first. It's going to be carried across there. Remember, it was added to by. So here is going to be left with by, and ax is going to go across to be take away. Remember, ax was added to by, so it's going to go across to be take away ax. Remember, it's b. I want this to be the subject of my equation, so I need to get rid of that y. b is being multiplied by y, so when that y goes across, I'll be left with b equals c take away x divided by y. Remember, y is being multiplied across on the left hand side, so it's going to go across to be divide. Let's try another one. Let's say I have ay plus 2 divided by c equals d, and I want to make y the subject of my equation. So I start reading from where y is. It's going to be ay plus 2 divided by c. So the last thing I said is divided by c. So it's going to be the first thing that I carry across. So I'm going to circle that and carry that across. So I'm going to be left with ay plus 2 is equal to d multiplied by c. d multiplied by c gives dc. Remember, c across on this side was divided, so it went across to be multiplied. Now usually we write variables in alphabetical order. So dc is the same as cd. So it's going to be ay plus 2 is equal to cd. Remember, it is y we are trying to make the subject. So I'm starting to read from where y is. It's going to be ay plus 2. So the next thing I'm going to get rid of is that last thing I said, which is plus 2. Plus 2 is going to go across to be subtract 2. And remember, it's y I want. So I'm going to carry that a now across. A is being multiplied on this side. So across on the other side, it's going to be divide. So it's cd take away 2 divided by a. And now we have y being the subject. Let's try one more. c divided by d plus a equals x. Let's say I wanted d to be the subject of my equation. Now remember, I said we start reading from the variable that I want to make the subject of the equation. Now it's kind of difficult to start reading this expression by saying d first. I will have to say c divided by d plus a equals x. So I know definitely I'm going to get rid of a first. So to get rid of a first, a goes across to be take away. So I'm left with c divided by d equals x take away a. Now remember, I want d being left on this side. It's kind of difficult to leave d because d is your denominator and carry c. So what must be done is you carry your d across to give c equals x take away a multiplied by d, and then you bring that part back across, leaving d. If you liked this video, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more of my videos.